Hello Dogs fans, welcome to another episode of After the Dogs Roar for 2017. This is episode 4 and this is the show that's dedicated to our great club, the Western Bulldogs. Now here's what's coming up in episode 4 as we take a look at the episode agenda. We're going to start the show with an overview of our JLT Community Series Week 1 match v Melbourne. Our men's side was back in action for the first time of 2017. We're then going to have a look at our AFLW Round 3 clash v Melbourne. It was a double header at Whitten Oval with the women coming up straight after the men. We're going to take a look at that crucial match, that crucial Round 3 match. Following that will be my votes for the After the Dogs Roar AFLW Best and Fairest Award, my Round 3 votes. We're then going to take a look at the AFLW ladder after Round 3, where we stand, followed by a preview of our Round 4 AFLW clash v Collingwood, which is actually our last match, our last women's match at Whitten Oval for 2017. So that is the episode agenda for episode 4. Let's not muck around, let's get straight into it. So on Saturday, our men were back in action for the first time of the year in 2017, up against Melbourne in their first JLT Community Series match. A lot riding on this game, a lot of anticipation because Robert Murphy was returning for the first time since that Round 3 injury last year against the Hawks. Travis Cloke was playing his first game for our fantastic Western Bulldogs club, and of course Stuart Cramery was returning after 12 months out of the game due to a suspension. So a lot of anticipation in terms of that side. Of course, the score doesn't really matter in these pre-season games. It's all about getting game time and seeing some of those young players get more of an opportunity in this series than what they would during the season and what they have to offer. So let's get straight into the overview. Talking about Travis Cloke, he actually kicked the first goal for us in this game. Melbourne did kick the first goal of the game, but Travis Cloke kicked one shortly after, and he got off to a great start, kicking his first goal for his new career at the Western Bulldogs, which was absolutely fantastic. Luke Dalhouse kicked the next one after that Travis Cloke goal. However, Melbourne kicked the next few and had the lead at quarter time, 4-2 to us 2-0. Now, the second quarter started off with an absolute cracking super goal from Travis Cloke. He kicked another goal in the second quarter. It was a super goal. It was a set shot from outside 50. It had remarkable bend on it. It was a cracking goal, a cracking super goal, and that was 9 points for us at the start of the second quarter, which was absolutely fantastic. Now, we did suffer some injury woes. I guess it's just a common thing now, isn't it, at our club? We suffered a lot of injuries last year, and well, no different in this game. Jordan Roughhead seemed to have injured his right knee or something like that. The medicos are actually not sure at the moment of what actually happened. They're not actually sure how he's actually injured himself, and we're not actually sure how long he's going to spend on the sidelines. So a bit of a mystery at this stage, but Jordan Roughhead did injure himself, and he's probably going to miss the start of the season. There's no question about that. The footage doesn't really show much, to be honest. That's just my opinion anyway. I'm not sure what everyone else thinks, but yeah, I can't really see what actually happened and how that injury was caused in that footage. So Jordan Roughhead injured. It's lucky that we have some backup ruckmen. Tom Campbell, of course, the most notable one, and also English as well, of course, drafted last year. Surely going to get a game now that Jordan Roughhead is injured, because he's about 200 plus centimetres. So he will probably come in and be another choice of ruckman for our side now that Jordan Roughhead, who is actually our best ruckman in the side, is out with an injury, and we're not actually sure why what he's actually done to injure himself. So it's a bit of a mystery at this stage. Dalehouse had 2 at half time. Dale kicked 1 in the second quarter. Melbourne did get away early in the second quarter, but we were able to peg our way back, and it was a pretty close half time score. The Western Bulldogs 163 rather to Melbourne 0-8. So the third quarter, it was an interesting third quarter. Hogan was starting to be a bit damaging, and Melbourne did have a kind of a comfortable lead at three-quarter time, 12-5 to 1-8-4. It was a close fourth quarter, but the Western Bulldogs unfortunately not able to get the win, and Melbourne ran away winners 0-14, 8-92. Melbourne defeating the Dogs 2-9, 14-86, but that's okay, because we had it was only a 6-point win to Melbourne, and there was a lot of positives to come out of this game. So let's go through the super goal kickers. Cloke and Johannesson kicked the only 2 super goals of the game, and then the goal kickers for us, Dalehouse, Hunter, kicked 2 each. They were outstanding. Cloke, Dale, Lynch, Daniel and McLean kicked singles each, and the best players, Dalehouse clearly the best on the ground with 2 goals before half time. Hunter, Liberatore, McLean, Cloke and Murphy all getting in the best players there. And of course the injury I mentioned, Jordan Roughhead with a right knee. That's what they're saying at this present time, although like I said, not really sure at what caused the injury. Of course, this game played in front of over 7,000 people at our very own Victoria University Whitten Oval. Great to have some AFL footy being played at our beautiful ground, the Whitten Oval. Now, some numbers to note. Dalehouse got 27 disposals. Libba had 20 disposals. Cramery, he returned, of course, for the first time in a year. He got no goals, but he got 2 behinds and 16 disposals, and Robert Murphy's return was a success as well, 16 disposals. I must say, I didn't actually expect Robert Murphy to return in this game. I didn't expect it at all. It was a bit of a shock to me. I thought he wasn't going to return until round 1, so he's coming along very nicely, and he should be ready for our round 1 clash against Collingwood if all goes well. So our first game in the JLT Community Series, it wasn't a win, but that's okay because a lot of positives to come out of it. Of course, a little bit of negativity out of the game as well with that injury caused with Jordan Roughhead injuring his right knee, but a lot of positives to come out of our first pre-season game. Of course, we're going to get a break in week 2, but we'll be back playing against the Brisbane Lions at Etihad Stadium in week 3. Okay, time now to put our focus back on our women's side. Of course, the AFLW continues, and our Western Bulldogs women's side was up against Melbourne in their round 3 clash, which was played after the men's at Whitten Oval on Saturday night. Now, it was a very close start to the match. Clarkson kicked the first goal of the game. It was her first goal for her Western Bulldogs career, which is fantastic. Melbourne did peg one back late in the first term after some behinds from both sides, and our women's side had a 2-point lead going into the quarter-time break, 1-3 to Melbourne, 1-1. That was really the only quarter that we could actually say were in the match, because from that moment on, Melbourne just were able to get away. We didn't kick a score in the second quarter, and the halftime score was 3-5 to 1-3. So that was clearly not good enough, and well, not really much improved in the second half, I must say. The third quarter score, three-quarter time score rather, was Melbourne 5-7 to 3-4, and then in the end, Melbourne won pretty convincingly. The final score being the Western Bulldogs 4-5-29, defeated by Melbourne 6-7-43. The goal kickers from our Western Bulldogs side, McLeod, Wilds and Clarkson kicked singles each, and the best players were Blackburn, Kearney, Scott and Wilds, and there was no injuries from our Western Bulldogs women's side. So yeah, not a very good performance there. In fact, our last 3 games, of course, we won our first against Fremantle, we lost last week against the Crows, and then this round 3 match we lost to Melbourne. That's 2 games we've lost at home, and of course all 3 of our games have been at Whitten Oval, so that is 2 games we've lost at home. Clearly not good enough, and of course our grand final hopes are slimming a little bit because there's only about 5 rounds to go now. So look, next week's game is going to be, or this week's game coming up is going to be rather crucial. So yeah, a lot of work to be done in our next game, which I'll speak about very shortly. But time now to get on to my round 3 votes for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award for the AFLW League. Okay, let's get straight into my votes. I start with my 1 vote, which went to Hannah Scott. She was fantastic in this game, had a lot of the ball with 16 disposals, 10 kicks, 6 handballs and 3 marks. She got in the votes last week. Again, she gets in the votes this week with the 1 vote. I've given 2 votes to Emma Kearney. This is the 3rd week in a row that she's got in the votes, and she was fantastic once again. She just keeps performing and being a real incredible player. She got 25 disposals, 17 kicks, 8 handballs, and only the 1 mark. She got 1 behind. And then the 3 votes went to the fill-in captain, which is Ellie Blackburn. She got 2 behinds, 26 disposals, 14 kicks, 12 handballs, 2 marks. She was outstanding in this game, and she was the joint second highest disposal getter in this game. So she was fantastic, and she gets the 3 votes for me. So that is my votes for the After the Dogs Roar AFLW Best and Fairest Award for round 3. And having a look now at the current leaderboard for the After the Dogs Roar AFLW Best and Fairest Award, Emma Kearney still leads with 8 votes. Of course, 2 votes from this round keeps her the lead. Ellie Blackburn second with 6 votes. And Katie Brennan and Hannah Scott are joint third, I should say, with 2 votes each. So that is the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Roar AFLW Best and Fairest Award. Now let's have a look at where we stand on the AFLW ladder, and we are currently 5th on the ladder in the bottom 4, and our grand final hopes are slimming just a bit. It's not good enough. We should have been winning our home games. That has been the very crucial thing, because we've had 3 home games in the first 3 weeks. In fact, we've got another home game coming up this week at Whitten Oval, and we've only won 1 of them. It's not really good enough at all. We have to do a lot to try and get into that top 2. Of course, just reminding you, it's only the top 2 that go through to the big dance. There's no knockout system or anything, so you can't just slip into the top 4 and get yourself into the finals. It doesn't work like that. It's only the top 2 that play off in the big game, which is the AFLW Grand Final. So look, we're down in 5th with 4 points. We've probably got to rely on Melbourne and Carlton losing. And of course, the Adelaide Crows and Brisbane Lions, they are flying. They haven't even lost a game. So it's going to be very tough to get into that top 2. But we have to win this week. It's no question about that. And speaking of our next game, of course, our round 4 game will be played at Whitten Oval on Saturday night, Saturday the 25th of February, starting at 7:10 p.m. It will be against Collingwood, who have not won a game in the AFLW yet. So, look, we should be winning this game. It's no question about that. We have to win this game if we want some sort of chance of making the grand final. Our chances are slim, but we have to keep on winning if we want to give ourselves a chance. So, of course, that game, just repeating, Saturday the 25th of February, 7:10 p.m. at Victoria University, Whitten Oval. You can watch the action on Channel 7 and also Fox Sports 5. This is in fact our last home game at Whitten Oval. We play our last game in Melbourne. If we don't play in the grand final, we'll play our last game in Melbourne next week at Icon Park. I'll talk more about that in next week's episode before we go and play interstate games. So yeah, everyone get along if you can. And that is it for episode 4 of After the Dogs Roar for 2017. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, don't forget to like, comment and share this video. Subscribe to my channel. I not only do this show, I also do some other AFL content as well. I've just started my 2 AFL shows which I'll be doing in 2017. That is the Ultimate AFL Preview Show and the Ultimate AFL Wrap-Up Show. So subscribe if you want to keep up to date with those shows. I'll be back with another episode of After the Dogs Roar next week. But until then, go Dogs. Bye for now.